Hello everyone and welcome, it's Shanna. Today we're going to be working with the Craft Roulette number 208. We have a joy fold, a buggy ride, sticks and stones, trims or trimmer. And I've got this Tim Holtz Ideology Field House piece of paper that I'm going to be working with. And I've got these two panels. Now one of them, the largest one, is 8 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I'm just going to score it up here on my score buddy at 2 3/4. And this will be the outside of our Joy Fold card. And I'm just going to score it. And then this paper here, cardstock here, is 3 by 8, and I'm scoring it at 4. And this is going to be the inside that I'm going to lay my panel on, and we're just going to assemble it just like this. Now, this Ideology Filled Notes piece of paper that I have here is going to meet my sticks and stones element of my card, and it was the inspiration for this card so that I could follow the perimeters. I've got vintage, I've got a lot of ink here, a lot of distressed oxide ink. I've got a vintage photo, espresso, I've got black soot, I've got pine needles, and I'm bringing in shabby shutters. And I'm just going to ink blend this panel very roughly. And this is a 4 1/4 by 11-inch panel. And I'm just going to ink the whole thing up because as one of my elements, I'm going to be trimming this into 3 different pieces and using it for kind of like cards, kind of like patterned paper for my card. I didn't have any patterned paper that I wanted to lay on top of that fern green cardstock that I'm using for the card base, and so I thought I would make my own by using my distress oxides. Now I've got all of these laying out there, and I really just use my shabby shutters, my vintage photo, my pine needles, and I think maybe the espresso, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just creating a darker edge around the whole panel with this. And I'm just going to ink up a bunch of these colors on here and just kind of create a little design. And this is when I come in with the pine needles and I grab my green blending brush and I just really darken those edges with that green. And I'm just very roughly going at it. And I'm not worried about it because I know I'm going to put lots of layers and mixed media on this panel. So I'm not worried if it doesn't look well blended or anything, because I know that the more layers I build upon, the better this panel is going to look. That's the thing about mixed media. You just have to keep going. Just add layer upon layer upon layer. Now, I was looking for my brown blending brush so I could use my vintage photo, and I'm just going to lay some of that down on there. And like I said, again, I'm still not worried that it looks blotchy because I know that as I layer, it's going to really come together. And so I'll just keep blending away. And I've got so many colors laid down there, I'm not certain which ones I'm grabbing at this point, but I'm going to clean up my desk and continue to work on my card. Now I'm kind of checking it to see, does it match? Does it look like what I want? Do I need to add more green? Do I need to add more, what do I need to do? So I'm just taking what's left on that green blending brush and just kind of blending over it. And I'm going to bring in my splatter box. Now I've got 3 mica sprays. I've got antiqued, bronze. Right now I'm bringing in the Shabby Shutters spray, and I'm going to put some Shabby Shutters spritzes on there and just kind of ink it up. And I typically will take some paper towel and just kind of blot up the real wet areas, and then I'll use my heat tool. I've decided to spritz some more on there, and I'm trying to spritz down on the pump so that I get kind of bigger splotches instead of just an overall spray. And I'm just blotting it up with my paper towel and then just drying down. I'm also going to use the mica sprays. It's the 3-pack. It's got, I don't know, bronze, platinum, and copper, I think, in it. And I'm going to spray these down. Now, these mica sprays will add like a sheen to it. So I'm trying to just layer them up. And I'm going to blot again and dry again. And I'll just add all 3 colors, and I'll do multiple layers of it, of spritzing, blotting, drying, and just trying to get a really good sheen on them. And you can see I'm trying to just press them down and get some bigger globs on there. And so I'm just going to kind of repeat this and spritz and dry, blot and that. Now today we had another beautiful day. The weather was fabulous in Indiana and the sunny, and I was able to wear shorts again and just really enjoyed another beautiful sunshiny warm day. It was in the 70s and it was lovely. Unfortunately, I think for Easter tomorrow it's going to get cooler and we might have a chance for rain, which is a bit sad because we're going to have a little Easter egg hunt. And of course, would be nice to spend some time outside, but we have a big meal planned and got everything ready. It was a busy, busy day, cooking and cleaning and just getting everything ready for Easter. But I did take time to make this card. It took me quite a while to decide what I was going to do with this card. I mean, I went through all my stamps and all my dies and just didn't have an idea. I had a couple ideas, maybe a branch with some birds or something like that. But to get both the sticks and the stones, I was happy when I came across this piece of ephemera. And it had everything on it that I needed. And as soon as I saw it, I knew that was where I was going to go. So I'm just measuring this off. And I'm going to have to cut down my panel to fit both the back, the front, and then I'll have an extra piece that I use. So I'm just measuring everything, and I'm just going to get it cut down so that it'll fit right on this. And I like how my panel turned out. So I'm going to cut it down, and then I'll have to ink it up a bit. Now, when you cut panel that you have, put all this stuff on, it's better to, especially with that Cricut trimmer, you need to start in the middle, pull down, and then go up. You don't want to start on the end because it'll kind of fray if you do. And I was just kind of eyeballing this, trying to figure out what I wanted to cut it down to. And I'll get it cut down. And I'm blending up the edge of it because I cut that green off. And so I want to just re-blend it just so that I have that kind of green edge around there so that it will match the other 3 sides. Now I've decided I'm going to bring in an embossing folder, and I'm going to emboss these 2 panels that are going to be showing on the front of the card. And so this is just a Spellbinders Leaves embossing folder, and I've taken it over to my die cutting machine and I have embossed it. And we're going to do the other piece, and then we're going to get these laid down on our card base. I just thought that using the embossing folder would straighten the panels out. They were a little bit, kind of wonky from having all that wet put on them. And I thought I could either, lay a book on them and press them, or I can emboss them with an embossing folder. So I decided to do that. And now I'm measuring because it seems like it's not fitting my panel like I thought it would. So I'm going to cut it down some more. And I was just kind of measuring it, figuring out where I needed to be. And I'm just going to cut it down. And I used my guillotine for it because I didn't want to, because it had been embossed, I didn't want to tear it or mess it up. So I went ahead and took it to the guillotine, cut it down, checked it, and then I'm cutting it down again because it wasn't exactly like what I wanted. And so now I'm testing it. It looks good, so I'm just going to get it laid down. And I've decided to just use my tape glue runner for this. Since it's embossed, I think I get a better adherence with it. And then I'm going to lay this one down, and I think I decide I want to trim it a little bit because when I line it up with the other panel, it's just a smidgen off. So I just trim it up a little bit on the guillotine again and then lay it down, and then we'll get this panel laid down on my card. And I'm just, same thing, just using that glue tape runner, and running it across there. And we'll get it laid down on there. And I think this is an interesting card. It's got some great dimension and variation of color. And I've got my little panel here that was my inspiration, and it's just too stark for my color. So I'm just going to put some green and some brown on it and just kind of blend it to match up the rest of my card. And I've got to say, I'm not big into doing a lot of green cards, so this really was kind of a change for me, and I really liked it. It's fun to do something different outside the box. And I'm just kind of mapping out where I want it. And I'm going to get this panel laid down on the, I guess I'm going to say inside card. We've kind of got two cards here. And we'll line it up. And I'm kind of struggling lining it up, but I got it laid down on there. And I'm just going to test it and see exactly where I want it. Get it laid down on there. And I've got these butterflies that I'm going to add to it. I'm going to distress them as well. And then I'm looking for the right ink, and I'm just going to daub it because of those little antlers. I didn't want to break them off, so I'm just daubing it kind of up and down and then going across the wings. And I'm just going to figure out how I want to lay them on here. And I realized that I'm going to do the inside panel as well. I thought I've got this scrap, so I'm cutting it down. I think I'm using my guillotine on it. And I'm going to ink blend the sides that I cut on just to add that green. I think I must have cut off of 3 sides anyway. And I'm going to get this laid down on the inside of this card. And my my little tape glue runner was out. So I went and grabbed another one. And I'm just going to get it taped down. And I'm, adding that kind of decorative panel to the inside of this. And I had trouble getting it laid down as well, so I just pulled it up, and I'm going to get it laid down on there evenly. And I think that I need something for the inside so that you could write on it as a card. And so I'm digging around looking for some paper, and I've got some Spellbinders Tuscan that is just a scrap. And I think it could kind of blend with it because there is kind of a little bit of a yellowy hue to it. And I'm just measuring again because I can't seem to remember my measurements of what I want to do. And I'm just taking it to my guillotine and cutting it off. And I'm going to bring it in and see how it fits. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ink it up because it's just too clean for this distress card. So I'm just running my blending brushes across it and adding a little bit of color. And we'll get this laid down on here. And this will be the area where you can add any little message that you'd like to add on your card. Okay, and now we're ready to assemble. And I've got 2 butterflies that I want to add on there. And I need one more. And I'm looking, and I forgot I had laid a mushroom out that I wanted to use on it. So I'm going to ink up my mushroom. And I'm going to get it laid down on there as well. Got to clean up that desk again. Got that ink all over it. And I left just almost everything in this video, so you can just really see the process of how this all comes together. Now, I decided to use actual glue on this. And I just want to glue it down. I wanted to be able to wiggle it around so that I could get my top margin similar to my side margins on this. And I had a phone call. I had 3 phone calls during those, and I had to answer them. They were important. And so I did get that glued down and got it in the position that I wanted it. And then I'm coming back in with my 3 elements that I want to lay down on this card base. And I'm just trying to figure out how I want them, and do I want to pop them up or do I want to glue them flat? And I think I decide that I'm going to go ahead and add some just thin foam tape and get them popped up on this card and just add a little dimension. And we're going to put our mushroom down there in the lower right corner. And I'm going to let it hang off a little bit over the edge of that. And then I'm going to bring this butterfly and let it hang off as well. Same routine, some foam tape on there. And I'm getting it laid down. Okay, so we're going to let that hang off a little bit. Now this next one, I'm going to lay it down on there and I'm going to let it hang off. And I actually put it up too high so that when I fold it, it's in the way. But I'll have to fix that. I'll realize it after I start flipping my card around. And see, I put it up there high. And so when you open it, I'm going to run into the top of the card. And I don't realize it for a minute because I'm thinking about, have I met all the elements? I think I'm finished. And, I'm showing you the card and I'm flipping it and I realize that the butterfly's too high and I'm going to have to move it. I'm thinking about other elements. I've thought about adding this strip here on it and I'm just kind of messing around. And I thought maybe I should put something on the inside. And I'm realizing that's keeps hitting the top of the card. So I just peel it off and bring it down so that it won't hit when it opens. And that fixed that. And then I'm going to find some pieces to put on the inside. I found this mushroom and I'm going to lay it down on the inside of my card. And I'm still looking for like something to put on that little flap. I'm going to distress this up. And then lay it on the inside of my card. I'll just glue it flat. And I think it adds some interest to it. And I'm still toying around with putting something on that outside flap. And then ultimately I decided to just leave it alone. Got another phone call and came back in and was considering putting something else on there. I think I grab a butterfly and consider putting it on there. And then I decide, no, I don't need anything else. And I'm going to call it finished. This is when I say, it's done, Shanna. Just leave it alone. And I think it turned out interesting. It's an interesting card. And I met all of my elements. And I like it. So I hope you did too. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.